Hi guys, how's it going? It's Ben here from the Absolute Music Drum Shop, and today we've got a very special guest with us. We're joined by Jamie from Alesis to take us through the brand new Alesis Strata Prime. So yeah, take it away, Jamie.
The Alesis Strata Prime is our new flagship. This drum kit is absolutely incredible. I would say that, but let me explain what I mean. Basically, for a start, you've got the best sounding module in the cosmos. It's absolutely incredible sounding. It's got the full BFD library on board, so you've got best sounding drums, the best sounding cymbals, the best microphones, no modelling here, no trickery or mirrors, no synthesis, just the best instruments with the best microphones. And you can adjust all that, so you've got producer grade ability to change mic channels, to apply effects, and to basically be your own producer and get the best sounding drum sound. So you can record with this and you can gig with it to a degree that was never previously available. So the sound quality of this module is amazing. Touchscreen as well, so you can easily navigate through it. Wi-Fi enabled, so you can get content and firmware updates over the air, or you can do it by USB. Multiple outputs. Let me just take a moment to talk about multiple outputs. It's a bit dry maybe, but a bit techie, but I think it's very important. More and more, increasingly, these kits are being used in professional, semi-professional environments, corporate bands, wedding bands, function bands, cruise ships, church bands, and a lot of these bands now have got no stage volume. So that's one of the benefits of having an electronic drum kit. You have your guitarist, he's got a modelling pedal. You've got your drummer, he's got a kit like this, effectively a silent kit. And everybody's got an app, everybody's on in-ears, they can control their own monitor mix,
Absolutely.
Which is wonderful. But in order to properly exploit that, you need to have multiple audio outputs. If you don't have that, if you've only got 2 or maybe 4 outputs, you can't separate the parts of the drum kit into the mixing desk, and people can't then make their own monitor mix.
So this has individual outs on it, does it?
It's got 6 outputs in total.
Oh, wow.
So what that means is that you can have, usually if you're playing live, you're going mono front of house. So what that means is on this kit, you can have separate hi-hat, separate ride, separate kick, separate snare, separate crashes, and separate toms. So all of those can be sent separately. So that means whoever you are in the band, you can get your app out and you can make your own monitor mix, a bit more hi-hat, a bit less bass drum perhaps, and so on and so forth. So this is a very important, very useful application for a kit like this. And so when you're buying a kit for professional purposes, it's important to have that in mind. So that's one of the functions. I maybe went on a bit of a tangent there, but I think it's important. And I think that if you're going to use this kit in a semi-pro environment or a professional environment, that's an important message.
I think what helps as well from a sound engineer's point of view, rather than just being given a left and right, the thing I really like about the individual outs is that you can send them each individual thing. So
that's right.
They can mix the kick depending on their speakers, depending on the room. So overall, the band will just sound better
That's absolutely right. And on the subject of individual outs as well, the kits have got individual microphone channels. These are actual mic stem channels from the studios. The snare drums have usually got top and bottom. That's 2.
So these are fully samples, not synthesized sound.
Completely recorded. This
wow.
is the BFD library. So that means that you've got these guys in white coats and specs with amazing microphones. They go into a studio and they set this beautiful drum up, and then they position the microphones very carefully, one at the top, one at the bottom. They've got a pair of overheads, they've got a pair of room mics, and then they go through the motions with playing the drum, every part of it, at every volume level, until they've got a massive library of samples at beautiful quality. That's what BFD is. That's the sample process for BFD.
Fantastic.
And you've got the full engine of BFD in here. So none of those samples have been taken out, none of them have been stripped away. You've got absolute sound quality, and you've got control over individual mic channels in here as well.
So that leads me to believe that nothing's set in stone with the module. You can add effects and change mic positioning and stuff like that.
Totally, you can't change mic position, you can change mic levels.
Mic levels,
yeah,
okay.
Because in order to change mic position, you'd have to then enter the realms of synthesis and modelling.
Well, of course,
and that degrades the sound quality.
Okay.
So what we've got here is absolute mic channels. But on the subject of direct outputs, when you mentioned if an engineer needs to have separate kick or snare or so on, you can take down the overheads and or room mics for each individual element or for the whole kit. So if the engineer just wants the direct mic sound, they can have that. If you want to leave the room mics and or the overheads in, it gives the sound character, it makes it sound realistic in a room, you can leave those in as well. Or you can send them to separate channels. So you've got incredible flexibility. You can even apply effects separately to the overheads or room mics or the direct mics. And when you start to get into that, it's kind of mind-boggling. You've got individual EQ available for all those channels as well. 8-band parametric EQ, which is, again, drummers don't normally have access to that sort of sound shaping.
Not, yeah.
So you've got producer-grade sound shaping facilities here. And on the subject of effects, we've got the Air effects range. So that's from Pro Tools. That's the actual Air effects range. So this is proper, again, producer-grade, desktop DAW grade effects, all built into here. So there's nothing else like it. Sounds incredible, and you've got the potential to shape the sound like never before.
Fantastic. So on from that, obviously I know you mentioned live use, but obviously I know there's a lot of customers that we have here that do record at home and maybe can't still have an acoustic kit at home, so they do choose to go electric. Obviously having those extra options is really good for recording, especially the microphone options. I'm assuming you can change the room you're in as well, and the sound of the room.
You can change the levels of the overhead mics and the room mics, and you can also change the levels of the direct mics.
Yeah.
And on the subject of recording, there's another really amazing way to use this in a recording environment. If you record by MIDI into your DAW, then you can play the MIDI back into here, just use a single cable, and then as you're playing your track back and you're listening on your DAW, you're mixing it, you might add a chorus here, you might change the arrangement, you can go in real time, change all the drums and cymbals out as the song's playing, and you can also go through all of those onboard effects that we talked about. You can change the mic channels, you can adjust the muffling, you can apply the EQ, and you can just do that in real time as the track's playing, mixing it until it's exactly right, and then when you're happy with it, you just render the audio back into your DAW, and you've got a professionally mixed and mastered drum sound.
Fantastic. And if you are an acoustic player, from the very short time I've spent on the kit, obviously here, I've noticed there are some quite recognisable brands on there potentially that you might find as well. So
there certainly are.
Yeah.
There's an amazing array of vintage drums and also up-to-date drums. Everything you can think of. Incredible cymbals. Again, some brands you might recognise. And they're just the nicest instruments, and they're just captured in a way. I mean, it would be a lifetime of saving up to buy all the instruments that you've got in here. It would be like the world's most incredible drum cave.
Absolutely,
and you just got them at your fingertips, already beautifully recorded, ready to go.
Yeah, so obviously moving on from the recording at home, obviously it takes up quite a bit of room. Is there anything you can do to reduce the space at all?
That's a fantastic question. When I use this kit, sometimes I might use the rack like this. The rack is supplied so you can have everything set up. And you don't have to have it set up like this. You could have 3 toms across the front, 1 down here. You could put one of these drums down here and use it as a snare drum. The module's already set up for that kind of thing. Or what you can do is these just go on normal cymbal stands.
What, like acoustic? Like
just a regular
normal acoustic drum kit?
Exactly, a regular cymbal stand. There's no need for any rotation stopper. It just goes on a normal stand. And these mounts here are the same mounts that you find on most normal drum clamps and multi clamps. So you could take this kit, or you could just take 2 of the toms, for example, and 2 cymbals, and just mount them on 2 cymbal stands. Leave the rack at home if it's too big to carry around. Also, the cabling that you see here, these are just normal TRS cables, just standard jack cables you find. So you can have a smaller set of cables in a bag, take 2 cymbal stands, take 2 toms, take 2 cymbals, and then you'd have a much smaller, much more portable kit to quickly take to somebody's house or quickly take to a gig.
So obviously the module is incredible. What about the drums and the cymbals?
Absolutely, yes. We had to redesign everything here to match the quality of the BFD library. So BFD sounds, even the cymbals, are recorded with 3 zones. So all the cymbals here are 3 zone as well, 3 distinct zones.
So it matches the recording.
That's right.
BFD.
So we can properly represent the samples. You can even choke the hi-hat with your hand without using your foot. You can play the bell. Super sensitive. And all of them are exactly as sensitive as that. They're absolutely amazing. And the drums as well. The drums are technically dual zone, but because the BFD samples have been sampled with 3 zones, that is head, rim, and rim shot. So the drums actually recognise 3 distinct zones. So the module is clever enough to know the difference between hitting both the drum and the head, just the rim, and the head. So in effect, the module recognises the drums as being triple zone, and you can assign a different sound to each one of those zones if you want to do that.
That's really weird.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, thanks to Jamie for taking us through the kit. It'll be set up in store if you want to come down and give it a go. See you soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
The BFD library is. I'll just say it normally. You can't nod when I say I'm a Jamie. I can't do that. Keep that one in.